Check. What's up, world? That's Vital Podcast, episode 5. Yeah, episode 5. First little baby milestone. Alright, so I had people hit me up like, yo, D, what's up, man? What's up with the next podcast, man? You quit? I've not quit. I had to do some preparing. I had to get some things together with the podcast and just mentally. Proper preparation prevents poor performance, so I had to get some stuff together. A bit of a break. It wasn't a long break, but I did. It was like a 2-week break. I apologize. Anyhow, I had a conversation with my sons recently. We was on the way to school. I was taking them to school, and it was a beautiful day. Oh, man. Every morning is beautiful. Anyhow, on this particular morning, my energy was just, it was peaking, yo. It was just such a good day. We was having a conversation. My 12-year-old son, we was talking about school, life, 12-year-old stuff. During the course of the conversation, my 10-year-old son, he interjects and he's like, yo, I just got an idea. And I'm like, what's up? He's like, he's been reading this book that I gave him on martial arts, and that's one of the things he's into. He's into martial arts, he's into crafting and different things, but he was like, I can learn these moves, I can teach my friends and then have them pay me for teaching them. I thought about it for a second. I'm like, man, that's a damn good idea, yo. I wasn't thinking like that in middle school, elementary school. That's valuable right there, yo. Teaching a kid some moves, that's valuable, yo. When we're in the car, all I listen to is personal development, motivation type stuff. Like to the point where like now my 10-year-old, he can verbatim repeat like some of the stuff Les Brown says. And he's like, yeah. He's like, it ain't over till I win. And I'm like, I know that's right. Yeah, yo, it's a vibe, though, when we drive to school. Because, like, our favorite thing is Panera Bread. So we'll hit Panera Bread first thing in the morning on the way to school. We do it so often. When we go in there, the lady knows us. She's like, oh, steak and white cheddar, no red onions? I'm like, yes, ma'am. Turkey and cheese for your little one? I'm like, yes, ma'am. I mean, like, she already knows. And everybody wants drinks, right? We're like, yeah. So we get the tea. I don't know. It was crazy. It was the first time while we were talking, like, I got on their level and, like, really remembered what it was like to be 12 and, like, thought about it from my 12-year-old's point of view. And the same thing with the 10-year-old. They're venting to me about, everything going on in school and how their friends have cell phones. They're the only ones without cell phones. And I thought about it. I'm like, man, my sons have proven to me that they are more than responsible enough in that regard, at least. And then I thought a little deeper, and I'm like, the school gives them iPads. They go to private school. Like, the school gives them iPads, so they're able to do anything on those iPads. So that same anything that they'd be able to do on the phone, they can do on the iPad, with the exception of calling. But yeah, after hearing their side of things and like rationalizing with myself, I'm like, you know what, I would feel like that extra bit of comfort being able to make direct contact with them whenever I need to. They text me throughout the day as is, letting me know about their day and just if they need advice on something. Like my oldest son, he'll text me constantly. Matter of fact, there was a situation today. He hit me up. Like, he couldn't get a hold of me, so he was hitting my wife up. Like, yo, I need to talk to daddy, like right now, yo. She's like, yo, Julian's trying to get a hold of you. I'm like, all right. I looked at the text. He was like, yo, Khalil is destroyed right now. Like, heartbroken. Khalil's my son's best friend. I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, his crush. He just found out his crush got a boyfriend. His best friend, this boy is so humble, yo. Like, this kid, he stayed with us a week or two during the summertime. Like, we was grilling burgers. Man, it was a vibe. We bought a pool for the backyard for all the kids. We bought them water guns. Like, it was just a vibe. Played video games. I mean, it was just an all-out vibe, and they just love to talk. My son and his best friend, they like to talk with me and everything. They tell me everything. Like, they tell me, what's going on with them. They love to talk about the girls and just get advice when it comes to the girls. We got a group text, the three of us, so I got on there, and I was like, look, man, hold on, calm down. I said, you're looking at everything through a negative sense, yo. You're looking at it like, oh, this is it. She with this other dude. They gonna be together for forever and live happily. You thinking all these things and you're getting crushed, man. You got to keep in mind. Look at the positives, man. You said yourself she's never had a boyfriend. Maybe she likes you and she doesn't want to screw things up with you when y'all get together. So she gotta do a trial run with this other dude, yo. Like this, I don't know. You just gotta think positive, man. Don't be. He's like, yeah, you right, Uncle D. And then he was like, one lesson I learned is to not be so shy. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm feeling the girl, like let her know I'm feeling her. I'm like, there you go. You know what I mean? It's a learning experience, man. It's all good. Listen, all this does is gives you more time to prepare, yo. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. When you finally do get with her, you will have worked on yourself. Like, you're going to make sure you're crispy. The lineup's going to be on point. You know I'm going to hook you up. You know what I mean? I got you the frames. Yo, when I tell you, this kid, he's such a good kid. The boy is so humble, yo. Like, he doesn't get out much. Like, he's not experienced a lot of things. So when he was staying with us during the summertime, the day that I was taking him back to his mom's, I took him out to breakfast. The whole family, we all went out to, he had never been to First Watch. We're sitting at the table and we're ordering food, and he just smiling with this modest smile in the corner, looking up, and we're like, "You all right, man?" He's like, "Nah." He's like, "Man, you guys are spoiling me." And then he just starts crying. Like, I've never had anybody do this for me, and I'm like, man, I'm like, damn, man, he gonna make me emotional. He got my wife crying. I'm like, yo, it's all right, man. He's like the boy was just so grateful. It was a beautiful thing, yo. It's so funny because my son is always like, "Daddy, when we get rich, we got to make sure Khalil is set." Yo, and I'm like, I got you, Jew. Like, that's your boy, man. Like, that's always going to be your boy, man. And we always going to make sure he's straight. Yo, I got to say this, yo. Like, and this might tie into to the audience I want to speak to today. I want to speak to young couples today. I don't know. It don't matter what age, yo. Whether you 12 years old like my son, because a lot of his friends listen to this, or you're 18, 22. Shout outs to a friend of mine who just got engaged. I feel so bad because she was trying to tell me in a subtle way, and I was not getting it. I'm thinking she's telling me there's something on my face. I'm thinking, and I'm like, she was trying to show me the ring, yo, and I felt so bad because like my mind was just gone. My plane couldn't find the landing strip that day. If you happen to listen to this podcast, you know who you are, yo. Shout outs on the engagement. Listen, I'm going to give y'all young couples some advice, yo, from my experience. Let me see, me and my wife, we got together when we were 14, I think, 14 or 15. Let me see. I was in 10th grade. She was in 9th. Actually, prior to that, she didn't like me. Yo, I remember we first met, walking down the street. She was meeting up with her sister at the bus stop, and I was going to meet up with my brother, and I remember seeing her, and I'm like, damn, yo, who is that? Like, hey, she did not like me, yo. But you know what? I stayed persistent, yo. And like, I was determined. I'm like, man, she gonna like me, yo. Like, yo, it got to the point where one time she just straight up told me, she was like, yo, I just don't like you. Fast forward, we've been together since, so now that was in 2004. So we're in 2022. So we've been together for almost 20 years. And it's not always been easy. My wife's had to apply a lot of patience, you know, and vice versa. There's so much that I've learned. Relationships are give and take, yo. Like, you've got to give love in order to receive it. But you got to remember, love keeps no record of wrongdoing. Like, people are quick to, you know, they'll oh yeah, I love this person, blah, blah, blah. But then when something goes wrong, that's the test, yo, is when things go wrong. Like, can you move forward? And if you do move forward, are you going to hold that against that person? Whatever it was that might have been done against you. Listen, you never want to be that person who's waiting for your significant other to show you love. You don't want to be in that position where you're the one always waiting for them to show you love. I don't know. That's one of them things that it could be like a slow leak in a tire. And usually when one person is like that, the other person is the opposite. Like, the other person is willing to apply more patience. One of the things I notice about relationships is the best relationships are the yin and yang sort of relationships where one person's weaknesses are the other's strengths. Through the course of your relationship, you guys come to balance each other out. Sometimes in relationships, arguments happen because of simple miscommunication or a misarticulation of a thought that's attempting to be conveyed. This is where patience has to be developed. Understand, this person is not trying to hurt you. They might be frustrated because it's not necessarily that they're frustrated with you. It may be that they're frustrated with themselves, because to get that point across in a way where it's crystallized, where they can make that thing as clear to you as the thought was conveyed in their mind, because they know you already and vice versa. You know them. It's like, yo, how do I get this point across without offending you? Because my intention is not to offend, but my intention is to bring clarity. How do I simplify the thought so that it doesn't come off rude or arrogant, but I could get it out quick enough to where okay, we can make some progress, and you can actually hear me out and clearly, see what it is I'm trying to say, or what the main point of what I'm trying to convey. Because when that thing came to my mind, it came to me so good, but like just getting it out it's a problem. One of the things one of my boys told me that was vital was, look, you gotta always keep that doorway of communication open. Once you close that doorway of communication, there can be no resolve. Keep that in mind. I'm gonna repeat that. You have to always keep that doorway of communication open. That means you gotta set your pride aside. Like if you feel, and when it's time to set your pride aside, when you feel that thing eating at you, like, yeah, I should say something, but nah, I'm mad at this. You know what I mean? Like, nah, yo, she really pissed me off. Like, I'm not finna look soft. I'm not finna look like no little. Nah, yo. At some point, you gotta just take a deep breath, suck it up, and say, you know what? All right, I'm gonna apologize. Like Martin in Bad Boys 2, he's smacking himself in that. Apologize to that man. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you be wrestling with yourself on that thing, and you gotta. I know that feeling because I'm the prideful one in the relationship. So, like, sometimes I gotta apologize. But then sometimes I have these moments where I have this profound apology just pop in my head, and it's real. I don't know, for some reason my mind just decides, you know what? Let's put some detail on this apology. Like, yo, I was wrong because what you said to me, I automatically took it as this. I misjudged you because you could have meant it this way, but because I was pissed, I took it this way, and then I responded. So that was on me. Here's the thing about life. Life is a fight. Life is constantly throwing punches at you, and it's not going to stop. You just have to learn to roll with the punches, yo. Hard times come, the W wants to see how bad you want it, yo. The W's going home with the champ. Y'all remember that Mike Tyson movie back in the day? Buddy was like, yo, where's your girl, Mike? She's at my house, butt naked, cooking grits. That's the W. Winning. Always look for something positive to focus on, One of the best podcasts I've listened to all year is a podcast called Tune Out Doubt. In the podcast, Doubt was described like a man in a boat. Dude said, you're the captain of this boat, all right? You're steering this ship. You got all these rowers in the boat. You're telling them what to do and what direction the boat is going in. You're trying to row in the direction that you want to go, the direction of success, the direction of abundance, positivity, a better life, all these beautiful things. You got these dreams, these hopes, all this stuff. And you got this knucklehead in the back of the boat rowing in the opposite direction. You got a decision to make. Are you going to let him take you back in that negative, opposite, opposing, pessimistic direction? Or are you going to kick him the F out the boat? Like, yo, you got to get the F out, yo. You know what I mean? And realize that, hey, if he drowns, he drowns. The way it was explained, it was so profound. I was like, yo, that's facts. All right, so as it pertains to relationships, another thing to understand, you got to value your relationship. You got to see your relationship like two partners in a relationship. It's like you're in a boat. You're trying to survive. You got all these sharks outside the boat. You got all these men. You got women who see a good man and they're thinking to themselves, yo, if that dude's girl ever messes up, it's a wrap, yo. Conversely, it's the same thing with dudes looking at good girls. Like, yo, I would not mind having a girl like that. Like, if that Negro ever mess up, bruh, I'm all on that. One of the things you want to make sure in your relationship is that you're not giving them sharks any reason to sniff blood, any reason to see any kind of weakness. And when they start sniffing that blood, they want to start rocking the boat. Some people in their relationships they'll gladly jump out the boat themselves just to take a swim. Why would you want to jump into a den of sharks to take a swim? All right, I've officially stopped talking to the kids. All right, and when I say the kids, I'm talking about the young 12-year-olds. Now, for future reference, you can listen to what I'm saying, but right now, this is to the older folks. I'm just gonna stick my feet in the water. You're just gonna stick your feet in the water. You got a den of sharks surrounding you. You just want to stick your feet in the water. You know what I'm saying? Or you just want to jump out for a quick swim. Something to keep in mind. Small thinkers justify small things because it makes them feel better in the moment. So you always want to strive to make the best decisions in your relationship. Another major thing in relationships, this will spark a fire quick, yo. You got to be all in with your partner. Like, what I mean by that is You can't be in a partnership with somebody, but you're trying to make life convenient for people outside of your relationship. Sometimes that might be family, sometimes that might be friends. She always putting so and so before me, man. He always putting, like, you got to be mindful of that. You do not want to be in a place where your partner feels like you're always choosing someone else over them. Even if that's not intentionally what you're doing, you've got to recognize, okay, hold on, something about the way I'm conducting myself is communicating to my partner that I am considering this person and their feelings over hers or his. Trust is big, yo. Trust is gained in drops, lost in buckets. Trust is like credit. Takes a long time to build and then takes no time to destroy. I mean, zero time. One day, one moment can destroy your whole, the credibility of your trust. I don't know. I say this, yo, as somebody who's lost trust in relationship before. I do not put myself in situations where the possibility of trust being lost again is imminent, yo. Like, that, to me, it's not wise. Like, why? If you had this dog in you at one point, that dog doesn't die. It never dies. You might suppress the dog. And this goes both for men and women, because game recognize game. What I mean by that is dogs recognize dogs. All right, and dogs recognize former dogs. Whether you be male or female, your mind identifies that dog code immediately. That beast is still in you. You don't want to play with fire. You don't want to jump into the water and swim with the sharks. Just take a swim right quick. You don't want to do that. You don't want to go to those places, because the saying, you play with fire, you get burned. Like, eventually, it's like a high. It's like, yeah, it felt good to get out alone and, I don't know, go to the club one time. I just felt like myself again. Okay, so you go once, but it's like I said, just like a high. It's every single time you do it, you got to push the bar even more and more. Your body is going to crave that dopamine hit, and it's like, yo, just simply going ain't enough of a hit. Yeah, you think about it. Shout out to my sister, yo, because I spoke to her yesterday, and I was like, yo, when I be on the podcast, it's crazy. Like, when I'm driving, all these ideas are flooding my mind. When I'm not in front of the microphone, first thing in the morning, I'm driving, like, all these ideas are flooding my mind. And I'm like, I got to figure out how I can get that same impouring of thoughts when I'm sitting in front of the microphone ready to record. And my sister's like, yo, why don't you try hopping in the shower, yo? She's like, yo, some of my best thoughts come when I take a shower. I'm like, I thought about it. I'm like, yo, you right. I didn't even think about that. Yo, I've had that experience before. Yo, I'm in the shower, and I got to jump out the shower, run into the mic butt naked. Like, yo. Nah, not really, yo. That would be funny, though. My big behind running through the house butt naked, trying to get to the mic. Sliding and stuff, got soap suds dripping. Nah, but seriously, back to what I was saying about relationships, yo. I had a conversation with one of my best friends one time. Man, he raised my level of awareness to an entirely new height when he said this. He said, D, you got to understand something. You've got these women out here that, like, for some of them, this is their last shot. They feel like they're on the verge of being alone forever. So they're observing closely. I don't know that they're wrong, because they're on the outside. They're doing their own thing. If they happen to have a tuned in sense of awareness, same thing with dudes. If they have to another person's relationship, well, it could be for a number of reasons. They could be looking at how to best conduct yourself when you're in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, what are good things to implement? Or, on the other hand, they could be looking like a fighter, like focusing on all your moves, like looking at your slip-ups, looking at, really? He let her do that? Or she is allowing that? Like, you know what I mean? People are always watching, even when you don't think they're watching, with a hawk eye, waiting, and they see that opponent's weakness, and then what do they want to do? They want to capitalize on that weakness. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I said, yo, like sharks rocking the boat. Like, sharks, if they smell the smell, well, you see in the movies, they smell a little bit of blood. I don't know if that's really how sharks operate, but in the movies, they smell that little bit of blood, and now they want to start rocking the boat. And this is just advice. This is not so that you can, go and think negative and find reasons of being insecure. But, like, it's like T.I. said, it's motivation. You better get on your job. the last thing I'll say, this is supposed to be for the younger couples, the newer, even older couples, just that may not have that raised awareness or matrimonious maturity. I just came up with that. Yo, I like that. One of the big things you got to understand about relationships is that when you get in a relationship, you got to conduct yourself differently. Like the stuff you got to, you know what? You got to be able to recognize, okay, what benefits me more in singlehood versus what benefits me being in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, is what I'm doing something that would be more conducive for me if I was single, or is it something that me and my partner can do together? Is it something that may or would bother my partner, or that my partner would have an issue with? These are things you got to recognize and be considerate about. And a lot of relationships is, I remember hearing this in a Tyler Perry play, it's like, it's reading between the lines. You gotta understand something sometimes, that when people communicate towards each other in relationships, oftentimes they say one thing, but what they're saying is deeper than that. Humans, we talk to ourselves for like 400 words a second or a minute. I don't remember what the statistic was, but a lot of the thoughts that we've been conditioned to think towards are more negative thoughts. And you gotta keep in mind, there's always two sides of the spectrum. Anything positive is on one side, anything negative is on the other. But the dominant thought is always the winner. Two final things. One, never be closed off to learning new things. All right, maintain an open mind. And two, never be closed off to your partner's concerns. Always listen intently to your partner's concerns. All right, and with that all having been said, I'll catch you guys on the next episode.
You got it. It don't belong to anyone but you. Hey, if that's a question of my love.